I'm back. So, new week, Monday. I'm going to only be on here for a short time and then I'm going to come back later this evening. So, this will be a short one, but I'll be back this evening, pending whether I go to the gym or not. Uh, Still pending. But if I do not, I will be back here this evening. Um, but since it's a new week, I wanted to say this. Politics is back on the menus, boys. um, Lord of the Rings reference, if you get it, you get it. But yeah, so last week I had like I wanted a little brief uh, hiatus from politics just so I can talk about other topics. But, you know, it's election year, so it's going to be often the topic du jour. However, I'm not talking about politics here in America today. I'm talking about politics in another country, in our sister country, the UK. What is going on in the UK? Someone, well, not someone, a few people brought it up to me in a live stream 2 days ago that there was some riots going on in the UK about anti-migration and stuff like that. And one guy was even sending cryptic messages on my live stream, uh, which kind of weirded me out, to be honest, because I wasn't sure what it was in reference to, what he was sending. He said it was non-violent, which I had to take his word for it because I had no clue what he was sending. But I don't know how effective he thought that was because I didn't have that many viewers to be seeing these messages anyway. But if I do find in my analytics a huge amount of viewers later on checking the live stream out and replay, then you know I will assume that there was some effect going on with that. Seemed like my first message was a troll. I don't know why people keep thinking I'm bald headed. Like, if you look at me from a distance, I mean from an angle, you can tell it's just cut. It's not bold. Some people are just idiots, but I don't really care about comments of low IQ people because if you come onto a live stream to troll, I'm assuming you're below average IQ person. And he got instantly banned from the channel. But anyway, guys, so talking about the UK, so I don't know what's going on. So apparently there's been some false claims going on about the migration issue in the UK, and I really don't know enough to say what is what. So I'm actually looking to my British viewers to, and other people in Europe as well, uh, if relevant, to kind of elucidate me and the rest of us on what's actually going on, because apparently there's some misinformation being spread about what's going on, which led to riots and protests across the UK. And I I had to give a mea culpa for 2 days ago when I said this sounds made up or over sensationalized. Apparently, this was a huge thing that went on this weekend over there in the UK. So I want to uh, make sure that's that I correct that and say that yes, there were some legit riots going on. There was some fervor over migration or anti-migration, and there were some claims being made which were false that kind of inflamed what went on. So, duh, 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 duh. Tara says, thanks, man, for letting us use your channel yesterday. Thanks. I really didn't let you. You just kind of did it, and I don't know what you spread, Terrace. So, like I'm saying, I hope it was something that was not um, sketchy, but as long as it was done in good faith, cool. But like I said, um, if you want to do that again, drop a super chat. uh, no, no, no. Says Zab Judah looking. Zab Judah is a Zab Judah is a pretty awesome dude, pretty awesome boxer. So any comparison to him, I see as no slight. If you think that's a slight, you should go probably do some push-ups because you're probably a bitch ass motherfucker. How about that? No, no, no. How about these nuts in your mouth? Excuse me, guys, while I block some trolls. I'm not from the UK, JJ, so I don't know what's going on there. That's why I said I was inquiring about what happened because I found out that those riots that people were telling me about 2 days ago were actually legitimate uh, things going on that spread across the UK. So why you at? All right, so this last time so I'm not answering any irrelevant questions. If you're gonna ask me a relevant question, drop it in the super chat. You're gonna respect my time and you're gonna respect my platform. Don't ask me a relevant question that has nothing to do with the topic that I am talking about currently, unless you are dropping a super chat. Otherwise, shut the fuck up or get up the fuck off my channel. Anyway, Tara says the far right groups are small. The anti-fascist league is always bigger. I don't get that. The I don't give a fuck what your question is. This is my fucking channel. Bother me again, I will ban you permanently. I don't give a fuck about your religion or your faith. If you are so if that's such a burning question for you to ask me, stick it in a super chat. Ask me in a super chat. If you want to ask me any question that has nothing to do with what I am talking about on my time, on my channel, you would drop it in the super chat. Period. Blank. That's it. QED. I'm not acting tough, bitch. I'm a veteran. I do not. I do Muay Thai. I run every day. I'm in better shape than your bitch ass can. I bet you couldn't even do 10 push-ups without giving up. Get the fuck off my channel. You will never be here again. Same thing I told the last person at Keska. If you got a question, put it in the super chat because it has nothing to do with the topic. You trolls are gonna respect my time, or you're gonna get the fuck off my channel. JJ says, "Yeah, a lot. I am from the UK. A lot of stuff happens. I've seen a lot." Okay, so what are so guys? Were the riots violent? Like, what kicked it off? That's what I'm trying to figure. Like, so I was looking into some of the information, but it hasn't been a lot. I saw a little bit of information coming on Rising the Hill. I am going to look into it more. I don't like looking into stuff as soon as it pops off because it's the problem with the way they break news here, and I'm sure they probably do this in the UK as well, is that like everyone will rush to give you breaking news, but the interest is in getting the news out, not being accurate with what happened. It's usually not until a few days afterwards then they look to be accurate about what the events that actually occurred. But when it first happens, they just want to be the first to say they've broke this news. So that's why I don't really pay too much attention to it until that happens. So since some of you are on the ground floor, so to speak, of what happened, maybe you can say what happened. Like only thing I'm aware of is that there was some false claims about migration being made that kind of kicked things off. But beyond that, I don't know the uh, the con specifics of it. So Eat a dick, Akeska. I don't have to be humble to you. You're on my fucking channel. And the only reason I mentioned it is because that other guy was talking tough. I didn't say anything tough talking to you. I simply said, if you're going to ask me an irrelevant question, put it in a super chat. I didn't say anything mean to you. That was for the other guy because he was trolling. If you got a problem with that, you can leave too. Period. You guys are fucking retarded. You come on someone's channel who you never talked, who you've never looked at any of their content before, just to ask random questions because you have a bunch of word salad that comes out of your mouth. You don't look into the particular content that this content creator is creating and saying, "Oh, that looks interesting. Let me check it out." No, you just go on there because you see a live stream playing and you decide you want to interrupt. So your feeble attempts at gaslighting me, saying vets are humble, this and that. How the fuck would you know? You're not a vet, so shut the fuck up. Get the fuck off my channel, or drop a super chat. Give a fuck about what you think. Forget I'm from Baltimore. I don't have to be humble. These people would be forgetting I'm from Baltimore. I think they need to watch an episode of The Wire. Recognize. Anyway, Tara says the media doesn't show you the anti-protesters. I didn't see anything really. Like they, it was such a brief. Like I need to dig into it more, but they didn't really show a lot of what was going on. So it sounds like what you're saying is it was sort of like a, a skirmish between far right people and anti-fascist or Antifa people. But but I don't know which side. So which side was doing the protesting? That's the part I'm confused. So I'm confused on a few things. One is what actually kicked it off, and two is who was doing the protesting: the far right leaning people or the anti-fascist leaning people. That's where I'm confused. Those two things. Keith Patrick says three little girls were stabbed. Huh. JJ says I watched the live of the riot. Hmm. Hola Amigo says don't watch the news, watch on the ground stuff. Well, I mean, from here, I have to watch it from the news because I'm not in the UK, so everything I see will be from the news. Unless you mean there's like vloggers actually out there. Like, I wouldn't, so since I'm not tied into UK folks, I wouldn't know which vloggers to follow to catch it on the ground. So everything I'm catching is through the news, but there's more trusted news sources than others. Like, stuff that comes through like Reuters and Associated Press, stuff like that is going to be more vetted than other stuff. And usually the other news channels, basically, they just funnel stuff that came in from these vloggers or Associated Press or Reuters anyway. Like most of these news channels are lazy and don't really do muckraking themselves. They just get their sources from other sources. This is why misinformation spreads so easily on the news, is because everyone gets their information from the same few sources instead of actually having some journalists go out and do some muckraking themselves. Uh, Keith Patrick says several major events recently where police treat different communities differently. They are soft on crime and hard on anyone who criticizes them. Well, that's not new. Jason Dean says hello. But again, I'm not gonna generalize to all law enforcement. Um, I don't know UK enforcement that well, but I'm going to assume, basically being a very westernized nation akin to the US, that you're going to have good folks and bad folks on the force. I can't. I think it would be uncritical of me to assume the worst of each and every person within a certain profession just by the virtue of they being in that profession. Because people can say the same thing of folks in the military, um, and other professions. Like for me, for instance, I do have certain biases against certain industries. Like I kind of dislike people in the financial service sector, but being that I work in the financial service sector, my wife works in the financial service sector, and many other folks do. I can't just often label everyone in this financial service sector as being predatory and full of avarice, even though you do find a lot of people who are predatory and full of avarice in the top tiers of financial service industry. But it would be wrong to label everyone, with those stereotypes. So, Hola Amigo says not far right and Antifa is a lot more complicated. I figured that, Hola Amigo, thank you. I didn't think I didn't think it was simply far right and Antifa. Things are usually not that simplified, right? So I do agree with you. I doubt it is simply far left versus far right. Uh, Hola Amigo says there's a bunch of events this last month. So it just kind of culminated into like a powder keg moment this weekend. I'm guessing last weekend. Hola Amigo says live streams again. No, I get what you're saying, but like I said, I would have to know which live streams to follow before I would see the stuff happening on the ground. Because again, I'm not tied into the affairs of the UK and content creators from the UK. So, like here in the US, there's a bunch of content creators that I follow. So I know if there's something I want to see on a particular subject, I know I have a good, I have some places where I know I can dig to find stuff. But most of the people I follow on my YouTube are people mostly either Americans or American expats. But the expats I follow don't live in Europe. They live in the places in which I'm interested, which is mostly East Asia and Southeast Asia. Hola Amigo says all biased. They don't show what actually is happening. I mean, that's just the news in general, right? The news is managed both by corporate and political interests. And like I said, often, even outside of the political and corporate interests in managing the news, there's also the entertainment value of it. So that's how news is often skewed, even without the management of the news by political and business interests, is just making it entertaining, which is why so often we see negative events on the news as opposed to positive events, because negative events gets more eyeballs. It wouldn't be entertaining for most people to say here in any town USA, people got along well, nothing happened, a bunch of neighbors helped each other out, and life went on as usual. That wouldn't be very entertaining. Instead, you go from any town USA to hood booger, hood booger town, and it's like here today, Man and Pookie shot up the restaurants and robbed a bunch of people, and that's more like it grabs your attention more. Like, oh my God, what? Even though this is not an event that's very often happening, it's more because of its shock value and the way it um, might scare people, it gets more attention. So anyway, that's just my overall critique of TV news. JJ says, I mean, I know what is happening, but I have my own stuff happening. Like the part of the UK I'm in is bad. What part of the UK are you in, JJ? Michael Dwyer says, bro, you look exactly like my Auntie June. Well, I guess one of us should be offended, but otherwise, I really don't give a fuck. Are you referring to me? I don't make up words. Because I'm educated, I have a lexicon that can exceed more than like 1,000 words. Too bad for you that you don't. That just displays the fact that you're kind of stupid. Now you can get the fuck off my channel. Candy says England's in flames. Yeah, you said that the other day, dude. Like, you just, it's not that bad. You, it's not that bad. England will be okay. They survive much worse. If you're in the UK, I'm pretty sure you know UK history. They survive much worse. 7 years wars, other civil wars, invasions, etc., etc., etc. Like, everything will be okay. Go outside and touch some grass. It's not that bad. Tara says, read my last message. Let me scroll up, Terrace. I didn't see it because I was dealing with trolls. Well, not all of them. Like, Ola Amigo seems a good guy. Tara says the media doesn't show you the anti-protesters. No, I saw that. That was the last message I saw from you. What I was saying was that I agree with the other commenter saying that it's not simply a matter of far right versus Antifa. I don't. That sounds oversimplified to me. I'm pretty sure there's a lot of nuance in what's going on, but between there being like a feud simply between the far right and the far left, because Antifa is, to be sure, far left. But um, Sexy Cooking gave me the hello wave. What's up? Terrence Wilson says the UK is not in flames. I didn't think so either. Like I said, that sounds bonkers. Candy said that a few days ago, Terrence. He sounds, yeah. JJ says Croydon. Okay, Croydon. That's like, I've heard of Croydon, UK before. I think I heard of them before because there's a football team there, right? I think there's a football team from there. And I don't even know soccer like that. Sorry, we say soccer here. But I don't even know soccer like that. But I know there's a football team, I think, in Croydon. I think. Um, Sounds like Northern England. Northern England, I'm thinking. Joshua, I remember you said, "What's up, bro?" Message you here a few days ago about my girl leaving me over the $5 million I sold my company for. I am doing better now, taking it day by day and living in the gym. See? Told you. I told you. I told you. I told you, get in the gym, you'll feel much better, bro. I told you. And like, plus, I want you to realize the fact, and I think you do on some level, you gotta realize that you are the prize, right? Dude, you are in the you are in the 1%. You are the guy that every girl here talks about. I need the 6 foot, six pack, six figures, yada yada yada. You're in that you're in that elite level of guys that that superficial women want. And the trick is to completely avoid them and go for the women who actually want you for you. This is the whole reason for the passport bro movement. But you don't even have to take it there. I'm simply glad you hitting the gym and realizing, you know, your worth as opposed to letting someone who you've been in a 6 year relationship with dictate your 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 self concept. Living in the gym, that's what's up. Like I said, when you're ready, go ahead and step out there and meet some women. But I advise you not to meet someone who's like your ex. That's what I would say. But yeah, good stuff with the gym, man. Good stuff with that. Tara says after that one. Man, I got to scroll all the way up, Tara. Sorry, I've been doing one last time. Um, no, I saw that. I saw that one as well, Terrace. You said the far right groups are small, but the anti-fascist league is always bigger. No, I even read the comment earlier, so no, I did see that. Um, I was just saying I don't think it was like basically the Rebel Alliance versus the Imperial the, the, the the Imperial Army. I don't think it was like that to put it in Star Wars terms. Blast off, you how are you calling me foreign and you can't even string together a grammatical English sentence? This is what you said, and I'm not changing it to make it sound more sensible. I'm gonna put it how you wrote it to show that you are stupid as fuck and you're calling me foreign. When I'm foundational black American. I don't know what the fuck you are. You say I'm in your foreign ant looking you sound like a fucking moron. And you're probably some little Gen Z retard, so you can get the fuck off my channel. Special K is for horses. Says people from London act like they are having it worse than the US cities, but you just can't compare them. It's so different. It's like someone comparing Russian mobsters to the mafia in New Jersey. You can't. I kind of get that reference. If I kind of get that reference because first of all, most of those so-called Russian mafia work for the Costa Nostra here in America. Like they don't run stuff separately from Costa Nostra. Most of them were like most of the so-called Russian mafia were Russian Jews working for the Italian mob. So, but anyway, beyond that pedantic point, I get exactly what you're saying. Like saying something going on in London is all of England burning down or all of the UK burning down is just crazy. Like it, the UK is so tiny anyways. Like and then if you just talk and even within the UK, you just talk if you're just talking about England, like England is tiny. Like like I think England could fit within the state of Maryland by itself. Like it's not including the other parts of the UK like Wales, Northern Ireland, and Scotland. But yeah, just England itself. Eh. Not and that's not to minimize whatever's going on there. I'm not trying to minimize any sort of suffering going on, any sort of um, misery going on, any sort of like things going on against people because of their ethnicity or vice versa, people using their ethnicity to generalize misgivings against the majority. So I don't know what's going on. So I'm not going to make any blanket statements about that. Cameron, my hairline is just fine. It's from the angle I'm my hairline is just fine, my man. How about you worry about staying in shape? How about that? Stay in shape, then you can talk to me. Joshua says, bro, after watching the stream, I legit bought a whiteboard, hung it in my kitchen, and just putting all my effort in the gym. Man, I appreciate you actually listening and doing that. And be honest, don't you feel better now? Feel better, right? All right, Cameron, your time is up. And I'm gonna say this first of all before I ban you. If you're gonna come in and clown, how about you do a little research first? Maybe you'll see that I literally just did like a live stream with my wife a few days ago. That I put up videos of my wife. Meanwhile, what are you doing, schmuck? You're probably some little 13-year-old retarded IQ. Ooh, I can't say. Well, I can't say. Well, I can't roast you guys like I want to because I'm monetized now, so I can't say the stuff I want to say about you little fanukes. But if you know Italian, you know what a fanuke is, and that's definitely what half of you MFs are. Bunch of fanukes. 23, 28 in the UK right now. Are you guys going? You guys use 24-hour time in the UK? I didn't know that. So it's 11:38. I'm guessing PM. So um, Tara says the far right needed something about immigration to make a protest. Wait, so is it the far right that's protesting? That's what I'm trying to figure out. Who actually is the protesters? The far right. Just so what you're saying, Terrace, is the far right groups who are protesting. I guess. Woman says hi from London. That's funny. This just says woman. People on here are so rude. I get it all the time. I get it all the time, woman. So I just roast people who are rude to me. I just roast them, and I can't. The funny thing is, I can't even roast them the way I want to because I can't say things that are insensitive to certain groups. But yeah, you know, as a content creator, you just have to deal with it. It's just weird that people will jump onto a live stream and not know anything about the platform on which they're jumping onto the live stream just to say stuff. That just shows that they have a lack of foresight or lack of general intelligence on their part to do something so random. Oh no, I've always had trolls Aquafunk. He said, "What the heck happened? I found you a few weeks ago and everything was all good. I stepped away for 3 to 4 weeks and now you got trolls." No, I've always had trolls. Like the funny thing is, so when I first started doing these vertical live streams, I used to just do like the live stream without an audience. Like I was just doing it to like put out certain messages. And then I started doing live streams where I started getting that audience. And usually the first people who came on to the live streams were always the trolls Aquafunk. It live streams attract weirdos for some reasons. Like for some reason people think it's okay to just go onto live stream randomly and talk to content creators in a wild way. Like I won't roast them or wild them out. And they're lucky because since I'm monetized and I want to keep my YouTube partnership, I'm not gonna wild them out the way I would in person. Well, first of all, they wouldn't even step to me in person like that because most of them, half of them are kids. The other half are just uh, what do I want to call them? Um, undesirables. Okay, most of them are undesirables and probably wouldn't have the balls to step to me in person. And if they did, I would wild them out. I would like, and I'm not talking about physically. I would harm them. I would just wild them out if they tried to even talk, talk slick. But because of the nature of the internet, you can be anonymous, and people feel a certain bit of bravado when they think they're anonymous behind a digital screen. So I don't think it's possible to do live streams without trolls. But the only difference is I will actually say something to them to wow them out. Tara says, I've lived here all my life and was born in 1966. Oh, okay. Yeah, you got some age on you. I thought you were a younger person. Oh, oh, already someone's spitting some game at woman. I can't even sell. I just saw like well, I can't see what she looks like, guys. I can't see the avatar from from my live stream. But hey, do you guys? LA says, have you seen the riots going on in the UK? No, I mean that's what we're literally talking about right now. LA, I did not see them. I've just heard them reported on today, but I've had commenters like Terrace and others like that the weirdo Canny telling me that things were going on, and at the time I didn't believe it because this guy Canny kept flaming the chat room saying England is in flames, England is in flames, and so he was like just flooding the chat room. So I just thought he was just someone who was mentally off, and probably still is someone mentally off because all of England is not in flames, because that definitely would be newsworthy. But there are like legitimate riots going on, and I'm just trying to gather information from you guys before I actually do my own like internet sleuthing. Um, Joshua said, I randomly stumbled onto the stream a few days ago after a breakup, and this man gave me solid advice to help change my situation. I appreciate that God is good. Man, again, Joshua, I appreciate it. Nicole says, hey, you've been here before, Nicole. What's up? Tara says, yeah, yeah, it is the far right. Okay. I find that I find that comical because here in the U.S., people always assume it's the leftists that are sparking protests, and as I've always told people, both sides do the same things, just for different motivations. So, Nicole says, "I see the subject as UK protests. What do you think about what is going on?" I don't know, Nicole, because like I said, I don't know enough of what's going on right now to say what's happening, and I can't give like my my opinion on it until I know more. I just know that apparently there was some false claims about migration being made, and I'm guessing that's coming from some far right groups in the UK, which kicked off some riots. I don't know how bad the riots got, but I've heard they have spread around the UK. That's as much as I know currently. Terrence has filled me into some more info, saying it was sort of like, like far right groups protesting and rioting, and maybe some of the some of the animosity they have is for some of these people supporting British migrants and maybe anti-fascist folks. I don't know, but I'm like I said, I'm open to people filling us more into what was going on. Terrence says, "Did you get why the protest started?" Not really. Uh-uh. Aquafunk says, I love my trolls on my live. I crush them all the time. It's fun for me. Yeah, I have fun with them here, but it's just that I can't really roast them the way I want to because I'm afraid that I'll get demonetized if I say what I really want to think. I mean, if I say what I'm really thinking. So I can't go at them as hard in the paint as I would like to because it, I'm from an era, the 80s, where we just said whatever. You know exactly what I'm talking about though. Sir, Ajax says, "Sir, you look sordid in life." I don't know what that means, but okay. I don't know if that's a good thing or bad thing. I'm not trying to be funny. I just didn't get that. Special case for horses says, I do see New York dealers taken from London's playbook, though. Like in London, they started using foreign snack shops to launder, and now I see them popping up in New York. Oh, they've probably been doing that for a while, though. I'm sure that's probably not new, unless that was a new thing in England as well. But it seems like every type of financial scam that could be had has been done here so far by organized crime. Um, he says they are popping up everywhere in New York, and the people in them are clearly affiliated and are hotboxing the store. Ajax says England is in flames. Then how are you still here? What? Um, are you referring to me or are you referring to one of the commenters? Again, I'm not in the UK. I am in the US, as I'm clearly speaking with a standard American English dialect. you don't you don't hear me speaking received pronunciation dialect or or the BBC dialect or any of the other sub-regional dialects of the UK. I'm here in the US. Um, and when I am traveling, I'm often traveling in East Asia or Southeast Asia, as I do live sometimes in the Philippines, but have not been to the UK yet. And England is not in flames. I wish people stop spreading that that lie. There are riots going on, but England is not in flames. Like you guys, it's hyperbole. But if you spread this hyperbole to people who don't know what's going on, they're going to believe you, and that's not the case. Yes, there are riots going on across the UK, but it is not. England is not in flames. That's just hyperbole. Terrorist in special case, spot on, mate. Yeah, or maybe organized crime is back on the rise, guys. I don't know. Nicole says, really sad what's going on in the Ukraine and disturbingly parallel to us. Mm, to the UK because I don't think that's analogous because you're talking about with Ukraine, you're talking about an international conflict. What's going on in the UK is a domestic matter. Not saying that it's not bad, but it sounds like that's a domestic matter, not an international conflict that could potentially kick off World War III. The stuff going on between UK and Russia is an international conflict, which if other people got involved could potentially cause a interglobal warfare or World War III. That's not exactly analogous to what's going on in the UK, although I'm not trying to minimize anything that's going on there. Just saying I don't think that's exactly the same. Terrace keeps saying England ain't in flames. Thank you, Terrace. Thank you for keeping the keeping it reasonable here. I appreciate it. So speaking on what you said earlier, um, like I said, if I take that back, like from what I was saying, like about the other day, sound like basically you were just whatever you were sending cryptically to other people to help them out. I don't mind because you sound like a reasonable person. JJ asked Terrace what part of the UK he's from. He said London. Um, Nicole says, I don't believe those were far right people. The live stream were old men and women. They were mad about three little girls brutally killed by immigrants. So, again, Nicole, I think that is the part that they're saying is a false claim. I think, like I said, even here in the US, they're saying that those were false claims. And that's what kicked it off. I don't believe that was true because they're reporting here that was a false claim that migrants killed three little girls. And the fact that these were old men and women doesn't make them not far right. Far right has nothing to do with age. Far right has to do with your social political views. If they're extreme views that geared geared the lean far right, then you're a far right person, regardless whether you're young, old, so be it. But these sound like these sound like dubious claims, and I'm going to assume they're false because they're being reported as false claims here, which kicked off the migration riots. And it reminds me of something that early happened here in the US a long time ago with Emmett Till. So, for you people in England, you may not know who Emmett Till is. Emmett Till was a young black man, like 12, 13 years old. This happened about 100 years ago almost today. And he was a black kid from like Illinois, Chicago, whatever. Went down south to be with his family. And apparently, he was looking at this young white woman, teenager, whatever, and he either smiled or whistled at her or whatever. And later, she accused him of trying to, you know, SA her. When this happened, the whole town went into a fervor about this, the audacity of this black kid from the north trying to ogling and apparently trying to SA this young innocent white girl. They went out, beat the brakes off this kid, this 13-year-old. I say young man, but he was a kid. He's like 13, and and after they did so, they strung him up. She later said that never, nothing ever, he never did anything to her. She completely made it up. Was never charged for it, for making a false accusation. But the whole town went into a fervor about this, and the only thing to assuage that the anger of this mob of rednecks was the fact that this kid was brutally murdered and hung from a tree for doing nothing wrong based on false claims. So I'm going to assume something similar is going on in the UK because all that racism here in America, guess where that came from? Right over there on your side of the Atlantic. So I'm assuming those were false claims as they were being reported here. They kicked off this whole anti-migration protests and riots. That's where I stand on that. But to say they don't look like far right people to you, Nicole, there's no look of far right. You're assuming that every far right person looks like some neo Nazi from the 1990s. That's not how far right people look today. People who are far right nowadays can look anyway. They can look preppy. They can look, they can, like, you're assuming they all look like a bunch of, like, incels. That's not, that's not how all far right people look. That's sort of yeah, an image of them that's not true of them anymore, if ever. So JJ says like Central London. Okay. All right. LA says not far right. It's working class people. Guys, you acting like I don't. I don't think some of you get far right versus far left. That has nothing to do with your socioeconomic status. You can be upper class and far right. You can be low class and far right. You can be working class and far right. It has nothing to do with that. And let's be brutally honest. Let's be completely brutally honest. Most working class people are on the far right. I'm just gonna put it out there. I the name of my channel is Just A Contrarian. So if you ever thought I was gonna have any cut cards, I don't. Nicole says, and the guy live streaming was Asian. That doesn't mean he was wrong because he's Asian. That doesn't mean like that he was making stuff up, especially if he's live streaming the events as it's actually unfolding. It's hard. It's hard to put a slant on something that you're live streaming. Now you can do that with a documentary. Like you can edit a documentary in the way that you want things to unfold, definitely. But when you're live streaming, that's different, right? It's 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 happening in real time. So you're gonna have to you're gonna work harder to have to put a slant on it if you're doing it if you're like showing something in real time to make it look a certain way as opposed to another way. So that's yeah. Nicole says LA exactly. UT looked like middle class people who really concerned for their country. Yeah, for some reason, hmm, hard to breathe a little bit. Ezekiel says I'm a buster. Yeah, well, I am a buster in your mouth. Schmuck. Oh, Nicole says, I'm sorry, auto corrected to Ukraine. I meant UK. Okay, gotcha. Because I was about to say, that's not the same. I don't know why these little trolls can come here and think they, like, hmm, the the lords of intelligence haven't helped these people. Tara says, I'm here and there's riots every day, but they go on each night. Okay. And mind you guys, I apologize. I'm always gonna be 5 minutes behind in the comments because I'm reading and scrolling at the same time and replying to each thing. Arnab Gosh says hello from Kolkata, India. What's up, Arnab? Tara says it was to help someone. Sorry. No, 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 no. No, you're good. I was saying like, you seem an even killed person, so I didn't mind you doing it now that I know more information. So Aquafunk says, I just checked in the London thing for you. As far as us Americans go, it seems to be more of a tussle. Right, right. like America, we know riots, right? But my thing was, I heard it was like going on across the UK, Aquafunk. So I was like, okay, now that actually sounds like a legitimate concern if it's going on across the UK. And apparently, the false claims that are being made is that some ethnic migrants brutally um, killed some little girls, and it's being reported here in the U.S. that that's false. That didn't happen, and because of those false claims, people have erupted into protests and riots. It is a false claim, LA. It is a false claim. It's a false claim. It's another Emmett Till situation. Yeah, it's another Emmett Till situation. Why don't you go fuck the queen or something? Shut up. No one gives like whatever. Oh, that's right. She's gone. Uh, Nicole says the way people were speaking, they didn't sound like far right. They sounded like middle class workers who genuinely concerned for their family and life. Again, Nicole, like I'm saying, and I'm not trying to be facetious here. Your your income level has nothing to do with your, well, I won't say nothing, but your income level is not synonymous with your political leanings. Again, you can be, there's a lot of far left people who are very wealthy. There's a lot of far right people who are very poor. But there are also far right people who are very wealthy. Not a lot, but there are a lot. But there are some, there are enough. And there's some far left people who are very poor. Not a lot, but there are some. But guess what? Most of them gravitate into the middle. Um, Income is not a normally distributed property, but political leanings are. Okay. So, whereas you'll have some people on the far left, some people on the far right, the bulk will be in the middle, that the mean average. Um, Now, when it comes to wealth, again, that's not normally distributed. So you're gonna find people in all different political shades at all different income levels. There are going to be some more at others. Like I said, you're going to find more people in the far right towards the middle and lower income levels. You're going to, and this of course depends on the country, but then you're also going to find more people in the middle to upper level income on the far left. Again, depends on the country. A lot of variables involved. But the point is, you can't assume someone's not far right just because they're middle class. That that just that that just doesn't cohere. Nicole says, I think I can speak for the majority when I say F the far right. No, I get you. I'm just saying like what I, all I'm saying is like we shouldn't stereotype people based on income levels and stuff like that. Like, you know, most people and I think this goes for the UK as well, but definitely here in the US, most people are moderates. Most people aren't far left nor far right, right? But the people who are far left and far right fall at different income levels. And usually, at least here in the US, I can't speak for the UK, so I don't want to extrapolate factoids about the US to the UK unless it's merited. But in many cases, people on the far right here in the US actually tend to be at the lower income levels, whereas people on the far left actually tend to be on the upper income levels. So I don't know if that extrapolates to the UK or not. But all that is to say that we can't generalize people as being uh, far right by being working class or middle class or so be it. Like, you know, that's all I'm saying. We should be careful to generalize people based on their income levels and then go from that to making these inferences about them. Bonnie is back. She says, I read about the three children, didn't know what fully happened. Yeah. Laura's here. She says, I like the fact that you read everybody's comments. Many streams skip over people's comments, but not you. Thank you. I appreciate it. Nicole says, I'm not sure completely what happened, but if it's true about these three girls, I don't blame people for being upset. The same thing is happening in America, and the media doesn't cover it when it happens. No, if so, here in America, if you hear of three little white girls being murdered by someone of brown skin, it's gonna be all over the news. Especially because right now we're dealing with our immigration issues. So when that when that illegal migrant from Venezuela killed that girl here in Maryland, I think he's from Venezuela. He was either from Venezuela or El Salvador, one of those two shithole countries. But anyway, when he killed that girl in Maryland, they were all over that. When that other guy was in New York bragging about they can just stay up in someone's house without their permission because New York law isn't going to do anything to remove them. That was all over the news. So trust me, if that happened here in America, it would be all over it. Plus, there's a bias in our media that, and let's be honest, and I have nothing against little white girls at all, but if something happened to some little white girls here in America, mass media is going to be all over it. Absolutely. It, it it would not escape attention here. The things like that do not go without notice. We even have these when something happens now the kids, we even get it on our phones. Everybody's phone blows up when those things happen. You actually have to turn those texts off on your phone's options to not receive those texts. And here's the thing, even if your phone is currently cut off, like you haven't like your phone's been cut off because you neglected to pay your AT&T bill or your Verizon bill or whatever, your T-Mobile bill, you still get those alerts, those Amber Alerts, even if your phone is no longer connected, because they want to be able to reach anyone who can give them information. So trust me, if something happened to some three little white girls here in America, those Amber Alerts would be popping off in everyone's phone across America instantly. I don't know if they have the same sort of alert system in the UK, but it, people would definitely be notified of that sort of tragedy immediately. Special K is for horses says there's plenty of British born UK citizens who have killed people. They don't riot when that happens. So why is it different when a migrant does it? Plenty of good migrants and UK born people and some bad. I agree with that. Special K is hitting the reason buzzer right there. I agree with that. Like I said, it becomes a titillating affair for people who already have skewed views on people in the first place. So it just gives them an excuse to exercise their hatred against them. Um, and mind you, here in the U.S., I am very much against some of this illegal immigration going on. Very much so. Like, I hope that when the new president steps into office, that person, Trump, starts deporting people. But again, I have nothing against legal migration, only illegal migration. Most of the people who come here legally add to our country. The people who don't come here legally are the ones who tend to be dregs on the society. I can't speak for what's going on in the UK, but I do know that it's been reported that those claims about those girls has are false claims. And until there's actual verification that can go against that reporting that those are false claims, I'm gonna go with the assumption that those are false claims because, like I said, it sounds like an Emmett Till situation. Canny, you're not a reliable source of information saying three dead kids. You're talking about England is in flames, dude. Your riots are like one bad day here in America. Like, chill out. I don't trust your information, Canny. I really don't. Sorry. You're talking about England is in flames. England's not in flames. Like I said, you guys survived multiple wars, including two world wars, several civil wars, several invasions. I think this is not this you calling this England is in flames. You sound like overly dramatic. uh, Nicole says, and I can also agree that it's sad that people jump to conclusions without doing any due diligence. Yeah, we can both agree there, right? Laura says, I like the fact that you comment on every single comment many streams. Wait, oh, are you just repeating? I was about to say, didn't I read that? But she says, many streams skip right over people's comments, but not yours. Thank you. No, I did see that the first time. I'm just repeating that since you reposted that. Tara says the protesters are young and old. Yeah, like I said, there's nothing about being far left or far right that makes you that you're gonna be young or you're gonna be old. Like all far leftists are young, all far right people are old, or vice versa. Look at Bernie Sanders; he's an old guy. I don't know. So, but then look at Nick Fuentes; he's a young guy, far right, white supremacist. Um, Bernie, progressive, and a democratic socialist. John Doe says I like it in the middle myself. No Diddy. uh, Nicole says also just because someone says you are far right doesn't make it true. Yeah, I agree with that. I'm not disputing that at all. All I'm saying is um, we shouldn't assume that we know what a far right person looks like based on income level or age. That's all I'm saying. Mm, Aquafunk says far right dudes in the states wear everything from um, he said camos to Hawaiian shirts. Right. So there's no they don't have one look. Camo. I think he meant camos. MVT, drop your questions in the super chat. That has nothing to do with my topic, my friend. Nicole says, what I saw is most of these people were saying they don't care about immigrants coming in and working, but there are some that commit crimes. There are good and bad people. They need to be vetted. True, they need to be vetted, but um, so the thing is, immigrants aren't a homogenous group. It's a heterogeneous groups of individuals from individual countries. So if they're going to be vetted, they should be vetted one on the one they should be vetted on the country from which they originate, and two on their individual merits, right? And they should make it a speedy process so that people aren't caught up in the immigration system for months and years on end in this sort of um, this sort of like mid I forget the word I'm trying to use here, but this sort of like middle where they're like, am I here? Am I not here? Do I have to go back? Can I stay? Like it's you don't want them in limbo. I think is what I'm trying to say, right? For like years on end, like how they've been doing it here in America, like having these people in this immigration, this un this un differentiated migration status for years. Because when you do that, that encourages people to come here the wrong way instead of coming here the right way. Tara says, thanks, no problem. Nicole says, it sounds reasonable to me. It sounds logical. It didn't seem like far right rhetoric. It sounded more moderate. Again, I don't know what was going on. So I can't say whether it was far right, whether it's not far right. What I'm saying is, I do know that there were false claims being made. And I said, it sounds like the whole thing they were saying about the three little girls was the false claims that were being made. Perhaps these little girls were unalived, but if so, we have no verification that this was committed by illegal migrants to the UK. That's the false claim. Nicole says you also can't assume someone is far right because they aren't left. When I said middle class people, I don't really mean an income class. I mean normal everyday citizens. What you mean is moderate. Middle class deals with economics. Moderate deals with politics. So I get it. You just misspoke. Yeah. When you said middle class, you meant moderate political moderates or centrists. But middle class is an economic status that has nothing to do with someone's political leanings. Um, you meant like these seem like moderate people. I get it. Greg's Corner is back. He says, hi, I just wanted to spread the word. Um, a man with Down syndrome is locked in a hot car. I can't do anything about that, so that'll have to remain for others to figure out because I can't do anything about someone. We don't know where that is, when that is, who that is. Um, if that information is true, hope that person is safe and find gets out of that situation because that can be bad if it's true. Um, Nicole says the fact of the matter is that the media manipulated the narrative. All children should be protected. Yes. Again, we know that media can and will be manipulated. Yes, children should be protected, but also we shouldn't have these dramatic moments where people go into a fervor about someone harming the kids. This is a whole this is a whole thing on The Simpsons when the preacher's wife is like, oh, will someone think of the kids? Someone please think of the kids. Like this is the rantings of a Karen. Will someone think of the kids? I'm not saying you, Nicole. I'm not saying you, but it sounds like the rantings of a Karen. Oh, will somebody think of the kids? The kids will be all right. Sounds like people are making false claims on and they spread like wildfire and they caused a fervor of what has already been a sentiment of anti-migration fervor in the UK and kicked that off. That's what I see. I see it as an Emmett Till situation. Again, I'm gonna keep repeating that because I want people to look that up if they don't know what I'm talking about. It's an Emmett Till situation, hypothetically. Um, the whole the children must be protected at all costs. That this is the rantings of people who will go out and commit mass atrocities against people. This was just like the whole, and I'm gonna be blunt here. So guys, pardon my French, pardonnez ma français. Um, this sounds like the rantings of these stupid fucks here in America years ago, who claimed that Hillary Hillary Clinton had people um, kidnapping children in pizza parlors and locking them up in their basements and dumb shit like that. This is the stupid shit. That's exactly what this sounds like. I'm pretty sure these claims have literally little to no merit about these three little girls being unalived by some migrants. I don't believe it, frankly. I don't. Sounds like the rantings of some far right retards making shit up, just like they made that. I don't even. I hate Hillary Clinton. I don't like her, but the whole thing about her, that whole lie about her having supporters locking up and abusing children in these little pizza parlors and places. It was dumb as fuck, and that's exactly what it sounds like. I'm keeping it all the way 100. Laura Wager says, I heard El Salvador straighten up the act. And so, yeah, I've been hearing that too. The El Salvador is becoming better, but it's still not safe to visit because I'm in these passport bro groups, Laura, and some of these guys are saying, oh, well, El Salvador is safe to visit now. And I'm like, no, slow your roll. There's still a huge MS-13 and MS-15. Some people don't know there's also MS-15, but they have them and they have other. It's continuous gang warfare in El Salvador. It has gotten better since how it has been in the 2000s and the 90s and the 80s, but literally most of these Latinos I knew growing up in Maryland were people who fled from El Salvador. Like most of the Latinos in Maryland have been from Central America. Um, Now it's more coming from like the Dominican Republic and places like that. But back in the 90s and 80s, a lot of those Latinos were from Central America, especially El Salvador, and some were like from Guatemala as well. Greg Squint says he appears to have a lemonade, so he may be able to stay hydrated, but it's only medium size. Where are you getting? So is someone live streaming that, Greg? But I mean, I get it, but I can't do anything about it on this platform. Not today, because I don't know what's going on. But I don't like abusive people who are mentally challenged, though. That whoever did that, if that's true again, if something like that happened to someone who's mentally challenged, hope whoever's responsible faces the repercussions of that if they're the guardian. Greg says, update, he has been rescued from the car as unharmed. Okay, cool. Cool, cool, cool. Um, Aquafunk says, I'm not saying the media is not fully at fault, but why do the morons that believe everything they hear get a pass, right or left? Exactly. Thank you, Aquafunk. Exactly. Like people just go off on a tangent based on some little thing they heard. And it's like, um, hold on one second. Sorry, guys. Oh, Nicole says Bernie Sanders is also far left. I don't know. I said that. That's I literally said that. I said that's why we can't judge people on ageism or class, right? I was like, Bernie Sanders is far left. He's an old man, but Nick Fuentes is on the far right and he's young. But it's usually assumed the other way around. that, the, that the far leftists are the young people and the far rightists are the old people. So I was saying that kinds of, you know, throws it in the loop. And yeah, he said he's a socialist, democratic socialist, which is a different, well, we can get into those nuances later. No, Nicole, I didn't. I said he's a democratic socialist. Not you're saying that's not democrat. That's socialist. Democratic socialism is a particular type of socialism. Like people, if you're gonna like um, disagree with something, you should at least know with what you're disagreeing. Democratic socialism is something that many people have been an advocate for. Um, George Orwell was a democratic socialist. Um, I believe Bertrand Russell was a democratic socialist. I believe, not sure. Don't know how that would fall with him since he was a noble, although he tended not to like acknowledge his title. I think he was a second or third earl. But anyway, um, democratic socialism isn't that's a topic for another day. I'm not gonna get into that today. It would just lead us too far askew. Special K is for horses says this reminds me of when people claimed the guys who took over Haiti were eating people. Of course, there was actually crazy stuff going on, but it was a huge news story with no validity to the claim. Exactly. And that's what I'm trying to get across to people is that people will go off on a tangent based on information that hasn't been verified. And I said that can lead to catastrophic events. And that's why I kept referencing Emmett Till because that was a very poignant example of people going off on a tangent and committing a catastrophe based on information that wasn't legit. So that's where I am with that. Uh, Nicole says they have apprehended about 100 people that are on the terrorist watch list. That is a real concern. Yeah, that's a real concern. I don't downplay that at all. JJ says I am back. What's up? Tara says just an update. The protesters have gone home and will be back tomorrow in different towns, and lots of people will be arrested and dealt with. JD says, how is it in America? Is it worse than the UK? It depends on what you're talking about. If you're talking about riots, we're not currently rioting right now. um, I don't know, wait to Trump's sentencing day. We'll see how that goes. We might see some riots that day. Although, well, maybe not, because he his sentencing on those 34 felony counts is up for an appeal. So I think I think they might have to deal with the appellate court if they accept the if they accepted his lawyer's appeal before they do the sentencing because it was supposed to be this month. Also, some of those felonies might have to be he might have to be exonerated some of those felonies now with the Supreme Court decision on the president having partial immunity to most crimes. So we'll see. But we have no current riots going on here. We have protests, of course, but there's nothing. We currently don't have any violent protests of which I'm aware going on in the U.S. right now. So, but if you're talking about something else, U.S. versus U.K., like our culture, that could be a whole that could be a whole different thing. Terrace Wilson says you got this UK thing about right. Thanks. It just took a bit of inferencing, Terrace, to look at what I saw earlier, what you and others was telling me online, and of looking at the history of people being idiots. It doesn't hurt that I have a background in psychology. So Nicole said, so anyone who pointed it out was put into the same category as the people who are making those wild claims. Mm. Special K is for horses says the worst part of Emmett Till is Carolyn Dunham walked free and only died last year at 88 with never facing any consequences. Absolutely. I was going to bring that up too, but I figured someone was going to say it before I did. Yeah, like she was never charged with making false allegations that led to a man's death. Um, she lived a free woman the rest of her life. It is absolutely insane. And like I said, the Emmett Till wasn't a one-off situation, as most Black Americans know. That has happened repeatedly in the antebellum South and during the Jim Crow era. And now, even today, a few times we've had some problems with law enforcement. But again, I'm not going to blanketly say all law enforcement are bad. That would be I believe in critical thinking above all else. I believe in reason. So I'm not going to make a blanket statement of all people in any sort of profession, industry, region of the country, economic level, educational level, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, because that would be stereotyping. I'd rather treat people on on the individual merits or demerits and go from there. So I can't say, all law enforcement are bad, all such and such people are bad. I can say this person is bad. Carolyn Dunham, if there is a hell, I hope she's burning in it and roasting like a lechon, a roast pig that is, because she was just pure evil to me. This kid was simply on vacation with his family in the South, minding his business. Even if he looked at the girl and smiled, or just was like, "Ooh, that doesn't merit strength," like beating that kid to a bloody pulp, unaliving him, and then stringing him up for his mother to find him. And it was even what made it worse was his mother was even scared of him going down to the South, worried that something might happen to him, and it actually did. And she had the wherewithal and the stomach for it as well to actually have him at his funeral preserved in the way he was right after his death, so that people could see what they did to her son based on false claims. So because of that, because these incidents happen a lot in America, too many times to that we can count since the antebellum South era throughout the Jim Crow era. I'm gonna say people act very irrationally based on dubious information all the time, and this is what's happening in the UK. Nicole says, "I know what democratic socialism is. That's the same way Hitler encouraged his people." No, that's not. It's not democratic. So that's not it. You need to reach George Orwell. He was a democratic socialist. He fought against fascism and totalitarianism. What Hitler and his ilk propagated was called national socialism. That has nothing to do with democratic socialism. They are completely at odds with each other. National socialism, aka Nazis, is a type of fascism. George Orwell wrote multiple things against fascism and Nazis. 1984, so on. George Orwell, who was also democratic socialist, was also somehow who wrote against the evils of fascism, Nazism, totalitarianism. They are not the same thing. So you don't know what democratic socialism, because they're not this. Democratic socialism and fascism are not related. Fascism is far right. Democratic socialism, you can say, is far left, but it's not a form of totalitarianism. You have a form of totalitarian. You have a type of totalitarianism both on the far left and on the far right. Okay, and um, democratic socialism does not fall under that umbrella of totalitarianism. So they're not the same. Nicholas has always wondered how anyone would have ever agreed with him, and now I understand. No, agreed with him for different reasons. One, they just got their asses kicked in World War One. They were looking for scapegoats. Two, there's psychological processes involved, like conformity to authority and other things. Like if you looked at things like the Milgram, the the Milgram's prison experiment. It's a classic in social psychology and in behavioral science in general, as well as studies on conform obedience and conformity. In the in the 50s and 60s, there was a lot of these studies done in sociology and social psychology and other related fields within social research, looking at how people could be led by such a obviously cruel and demented person who happened to be very charismatic. And we know these processes now. We know of things like in group bias. We know of things like conformity to authority, um, obedience, all these sorts of things. We know of these processes. This has nothing to do with democratic socialism. It has to do with social psychological processes that we all can fall under, these different sorts of hidden persuaders or perceptual and cognitive biases we all share, as well as historical events that can shape things in different ways. Like for instance, the aftermath of World War One in Germany. Why were these people so bitter in the 2030s, in the 1920s and 1930s? Well, hey, they just lost World War One, and by the 1920s and 1930s, Germany hadn't even been a unified country for that long. They've only been unified since the 1870s. And then comes along, then they get their butts kicked in 1917, whatever, 1919. Have to deal with the aftermath of that. And then, like I said, you got all these other psychological processes going on with these folks. It's not the only place this happened. You had Hitler, you had Pol Pot, you had um, uh, what was the guy in China? Um, that asshole. you, uh, you've had a number of these charismatic people in this era with the totalitarian regimes. El Duce in Italy. So, and I can go on and on, but this is not a history lesson. The point is, we shouldn't we shouldn't villainize viewpoints of which we don't agree. So that's all I'm saying. Special case is the Ford Ranger is one of the greatest trucks ever made combo of American and Japanese engineering. Huh. I'm not really a truck dude, and that's kind of relevant to this topic, but it's just funny. I have no opinion on it. Terrace says 378 arrested since it started. So when did this kick off Friday or did this kick off Saturday, guys? That's what I want to know. Nicole says anyone who makes false claims should have the same penalty that the actual crime would have carried. I kind of agree with that. And so here in America, there is so when I looked into it, most state governments do have laws in the books that will charge people with making false allegations of a crime, but it's not equal. Like in some places, it's only a misdemeanor, but in a few states, they have turned it into a felony. But in most places, it's only a misdemeanor. But the problem is only if the officers want to bring. The problem is it's up to it's up to the officers if they actually want to charge the person with a false allegation, and many times they don't. So when women make false claims of domestic abuse, a lot of times they're never charged with making these false allegations unless it's like someone who's like a celebrity or of up, upper tier status where they can claim slander or libel. Then that may be a different situation, but for the average Joe, if they're accused of something and it turns out to be false, that's just like they can't do anything about it. And even if they're cleared of all charges, it's still on their record, which then they'll have to wait to get eventually expunged, which can take years, and in that meantime have cost them their apartment, their job, whatever. So, but yeah, I think false claims should be treated as harshly as someone committing the crime itself. That would put an end to how easily people will just put false claims on others when they know that it carries the same legal ramifications as the charge itself. I agree with you there, Nicole. Terrorist is no real serious arrest. Nicole says, I don't know a lot about the Emmett case, but I think it's disgusting that she had no consequences. Yeah, she literally had no consequences. There were people who, for decades, said that she should be charged, and the law enforcement and her, and I believe this is in Texas, they refused to ever charge her. Like I said, even even in like almost every state does have make it a misdemeanor to make false allegations against someone, but it's always up to the actual law enforcement whether they actually decide to press those charges because it's not a so you know how like some crimes, even if even if the victim doesn't press charges, charges will be made against the person anyway because it becomes because it's a I don't know what you call it, a state offense or whatever. I'm sorry, I'm not a lawyer, but it becomes like um, it becomes an offense that that the court takes up anyway automatically. False allegations isn't that sort of thing. It becomes up to it's up to the discretion of the officers whether they'll charge the person or not, and I think that's a problem. I think it should be automatic. Like, so for instance, like a statutory crime or something like that, it doesn't matter whether the victim wants to press charges or not. The state is going to press charges regardless. False allegations should be treated the same way as like a statutory crime. It doesn't matter whether the victim presses charges or not. It should be automatic. Like because it's wasting law enforcement's resources because this is time they could be handling other matters of real crimes, and two is costing taxpayers money. So false allegations should be treated in the same vein as like certain abuse charges and other charges of crime or against people or property, where it's automatically something taken up by the state, whether regardless of whether the victim presses charges. That's how they should do it. But we're probably a long way from that ever happening. Nicole says Hitler himself was not a socialist. He used socialism. Democrat is the process of democracy. I get what you're saying. I don't know what Hitler's actual views are because I'm not reading Mein Kampf. But did he manipulate people? Of course he did. Um, what I'm saying is what he advocated for, what he was selected as the leader of his party, which was the National Socialist Party in Germany at the time. And what I'm saying is the National Socialist Party of Germany has nothing to do with democratic socialism as a political ideology. They're not related at all. Like I said, the National Socialist Party was something that came to rise within the 1920s, 1930s, early 1930s era of Germany in the aftermath of World War One. And like I said, I don't know his personal views. Um, like I said, he manipulated people. Obviously, he had some mental issues going on. He was very charismatic. But like I said, outside of reading Mein Kampf, which I would not want on my account, on any of my accounts showing that I've bought or and bought such a book, or checked it out at the public library, because that would instantly be like a red flag probably to the Department of Homeland Security. But um, in any case, aside from actually knowing his personal views, like I said, he becoming the leader of the National Socialist Party in the 1920s, 1930s has almost nothing to do with democratic socialism as an ideology of people looking to have a more egalitarian society. Nicole says the politics of Hitler's Germany were different than American modern day now. So yeah, with that we can both agree. Um, Baron Kaya says hi, I'm watching from Turkey. What's up, Baron? How come you didn't spell Turkey the way we, in the real way? You know, I thought, or do some people from Turkey still spell it the old way? Because I thought most of you guys spelled it in their actual way that it's done there. But no biggie. I actually had Turkish, uh, uh, a Turkish roommate back in college. He was a pretty cool guy. It's funny, we were both boarders in this frat, but he didn't rush their frat. He actually rushed the frat that was next to us, Pike. Um, if you don't know who they are, just never mind that. But um, Pike was known as like sort of the pretty boys of the white fraternities. For some of you who know, um, and he rushed them, and it was funny because when we lived as boarders together in this other fraternity, I was telling them, I was like, yeah, so and so is actually rushing this other fraternity, and they was like, oh yeah, he's rushing such and such. They was like, yeah, we. They was like, yeah, I can see that. And they kind of sneered, okay, yeah, I can see that. But no, he was a cool dude. So Tara says some people are like sheep. Somebody will say something without foundation, and people will follow. Yep, Mao. Yep, Mao Zedong. That's what I was referring to, Nicole. Thank you. She says it's the manipulation of these people in power, right? And those people who won't charge the person who made false allegations should be fired. I wish, but they're the ones in charge, so it's up to their discretion whether they want to stick charges on someone. What I'm saying is it shouldn't even be a matter of it shouldn't be within their discretion. It should be something that's automatically done, just like I said with certain level crimes where the state takes it up, whether the victim presses charges or not. False allegations should be the same way. It should be taken up by the state, even if the even if the victim of the false charges doesn't want to pick it up. That would keep people from making such false charges. Nicole says they are not the law. They are there to uphold the law, and if they don't do so, then they should be let go. Ideally, ideally so, but Tara says it started last weekend with the vigil for the three girls, and it was hijacked by the racist. Nicole says to Terrence, I believe that they have done that here in America too. Yeah, yep. So everything that they don't agree with either seems to be labeled as far right, as alarming. Yeah. Uh, Nicole says, I must say this is the only live I even watch and or engage with. You are a reasonable person with logical discourse. This is what everyone should be doing. Thank you. I appreciate it. Nicole says democratic socialism is a new idea. Yeah, like I said, look it up for yourself. If you find it is still extreme for your taste, then that's completely fair. But what I'm saying is you won't find it in the same um in the same categories as like um fascism, totalitarianism, authoritarianism, national socialism, and some of these other fringe ideas. Um, you can, with fairness, say it is on the far left, but it's not something that tends to erupt in violence. It's democratic socialists are more like if I were to stereotype democratic socialists as anything, I would see them as more as like the the hippies, the vegans, um, like the people like the young people in college and their professors with with the leather patches on their suit jackets with the pipe who have lectures outside on the quad. that's my that's that would be my like stereotypical image of democratic socialists would be like like the academic types that are like far left leaning, but they're like the chill people, right? That would be that's my stereotype of them. Like I said, Bernie Sanders is a classic example of someone you might see as a democratic socialist. Like I said, George Orwell was another great example of someone. But it, like I said, look it up for yourself. Like I said, if you still find their views extreme or too leftist for you, that's completely fair. But what I think you won't find is that their views are those of people who are political agitators. Okay. Nicole says, I believe what I believe, but if I'm presented with reasonable info that can change that, most people aren't like that. They'll dig their heels in. Absolutely, that's true. Alice there, Scott says Turkey is how it's spelled Turkiye. No, I know that. That's what I was saying. I was our friend from Turkey was saying he was from Turkey, and I was just laugh. I was just um, being playing fun. They've used spell has now been accepted, you know, others as um, the official spelling and pronunciation of their country's name now. So Nicole says that's exactly what I mean when I say that they're not the law. It's up to them and their discretion. The law is the law. Yeah. Nicole says look up Yeonmi Park. I may have spelled her name wrong. She is a North Jordan defector. Her story is both heartbreaking and victorious. Yemi Mark. I thought Jordan was doing well though. Like I thought that was more the one of the more reasonable Middle Eastern countries. Like Jordan, you know, sort of being an ally of Israel and the West, as opposed to Lebanon and Iran. So, but I could be wrong since they do have a king. Um, I don't know. I don't want to slight UK, but any place that has a a royal leader, a monarch, um, can may not be as democratic as it could be. Although that can be wrong because again, since I'm referencing the UK is officially a constitutional monarchy, which is actually a democracy. So I don't know if Jordan is a I don't know um, if Jordan is a constitutional monarchy nowadays, which I doubt, but more likely a absolute monarchy. So I don't know. Tara says this world needs stereotypes to hate. Well, the thing is, we're always going to have stereotypes just because stereotyping is actually a form of learning that we all do. So it's not stereotyping in itself that's bad. It's racial stereotyping, sexual stereotyping, um, na- um, nationalistic stereotyping. These things are bad because they put people in categories that they may not always fit, right? And then there's another more insidious thing than simply stereotyping, which I said is like just another form of associate association learning, associationistic learning, or associationism, or whatever, however you want to say it. It's just a form of behavioral learning that all humans do. But what's more insidious is which is called in-group bias, or some call it tribalism. All all people do it. We all we all fall the um the, under the veil of in-group bias or tribalism, if you prefer, because it's just a part of human nature. But knowing that, we can kind of try to reduce it by looking at our assumptions. At 11, Govea says, "Up, dude. What's up?" Nicole says, "I'm sorry. Autocorrect as an SOB, not North Jordan, North Korea." Okay, gotcha. That makes more sense. A North Korean defector. There's a bunch of them that go across the border all the time into China. Some of them, the irony is, the sad irony that is that often they find that China is actually worse. But again, I'm not going to go hard on China because they are people who have business dealings with Google, who is the parent company of YouTube. So I'm not going to go hard in the paint against China. I want to stay safely monetized. But any case, Nicole says, however, I would love to visit Jordan and get baptized in the same river as Jesus. That would be amazing because I am a Christian and love Jesus. That's cool. Terrence is blaming others for their problem that are their own, blaming other tribes. Football Global says, bless up, got a few minutes. um, Nicole says it was Christian missionaries to help her escape. Well, I believe that because, so, uh, sound like she probably defected then to South Korea because there are a lot of Christian missionaries in South Korea. I wasn't aware of that until, I guess about like eight, 18 years ago or so. I was um, starting off as a grad student at the time, and I was away from home. I wasn't, feeling my family at the time. So around Thanksgiving, I had nowhere to go. And one of my friends hit me up. He's also, a very Christian guy. I'm not. Don't blame me. But anyway, he was like, "Hey, you want to come with me uh, to go eat for Thanksgiving?" I was like, "Sure." Where are we going? And he was like, "We going to um, this this Christian missionary's house." And I was like, "Cool." We went over there, and he was South Korean, and his family was very polite and inviting, and they had a mixture of both Korean food and American food, and it was great. It was the first time I had like the like purple looking rice and some other stuff. I think also tried some kimchi. I think that was like the first time I tried kimchi, either then or at this Korean spot, whatever. Um, so I had a mixture of the American Thanksgiving food and the Korean food. That was the first time I had fried turkey, and I was like, "Oh, fried turkey is good." I was like, I thought it would be so much different, but it was like regular turkey. um, um, but yeah, so yeah, there's a lot of Christian missionaries in South Korea, and I do believe some of them do help people defect from North Korea. North Korea is horrible, guys, horrible. Um, so good for her. Um, Nicole says, Terrence, Jesus loves us all. We're all brothers and sisters in Christ, believers or not. It's not my job to make anyone believe, but it is my job to tell them the good news. Terrace says it's 1 a.m. and lights out time. It's been interesting. Thanks, Terrace. Like, you're a good guy, man. Talk to you later. Um, Nicole says Christian missionaries all over the world. Korea actually has some of the largest Christian movements in the world. I believe it. I know now that I did not know so many Koreans were Christian, but a lot of them are. Unlike unlike their Chinese and Japanese counterparts who are very like tend to be quite non-religious. Um, but yeah, a lot of Koreans I met were Christian. One of my homeboys in the army, he yeah, so most of them I met. Football Global, what are you talking about? You said how long have you been unemployed? 10 years. Explain how are these people taking your jobs? Was that meant for this channel? Were you was that meant for this channel? Are you talking to someone else? I don't get it. Miss Needle says, "What's up? What's up, Miss Needle?" Uh, I gave Mrs. Contrarian. Well, well, that's right. Mrs. Contrarian was on last night with us, so she already got your message. But we were talking about you in a good way uh, earlier today. My time. I was I was I was just saying, yeah. I was like, Miss Needle seems kind of cool. I said she seems like some of. I said she reminds me of some of your other European friends that you've met. Traveling. Who've traveled to the Philippines. You're welcome, Terrace. Nicole says, "Football Global. What are you talking about? No one said anything like that." Yeah, I don't know what he's talking about, Nicole. Like I don't, I don't know what he's talking about. Like I've clearly talked about where I work like several times, but not on this particular live stream, but in previous ones. Miss Nia says, "All right, that's sweet." Yeah, she's had like a few people who've traveled um, to the Philippines that she's befriended, or um, people she's met in travel groups, and then they end up linking up. Um, Miss Neal said, "What's the topic exactly? What's about in the UK? We talking about?" So there were riots all over the UK this weekend, Miss Needle, and it was based on some false claims being made about three little girls being murdered by illegal migrants to the country. And like I said, after the, so those claims were fact checked and they were deemed to be false. That there's no verification that these three little girls, who may or may have not been unalived, were done so by some migrants. And because of that, there was a wave of anti-migration protests and riots all over the country this weekend. So that's what I was talking about because someone, when it was brought up 2 days ago, I thought people were making up the whole thing. And then I saw it on the news reported earlier this morning, and I was like, okay, this is an actual thing. So I was like, I wanted to do a live stream and dig into it. And luckily, the people who brought it up 2 days ago were on this live stream today. He just left though. It's 1 a.m. there in the UK. Uh, Football Global, she's not wrong. Leave Nicole alone. She's just saying, why'd you come with that random statement? Because all of us are wondering why you said that. Anyway, back to Miss Needle. She said, yeah, yeah, lots of Europeans travel to the Philippines and love the people there. Yeah, because so there, I mentioned this before. There's an international rating. That there's a global rating of the friendliest places in the world, and the Philippines is always like within like the top. I think like the top five. I think last year they won number one, but uh, they are always most people who've traveled to the Philippines have always said these are some of the friendliest people they ever met, and they are. I mean, just look how wholesome they are. Like if you look at my videos with them celebrating with my wife at her little Jollibee's birthday party, they are so chill. And the fact is, the fact they have to deal with poverty, with other things going on internationally, with discrimination in other countries when they try to travel and stuff like that. These are some of the these are some of the coolest people I've ever met. Football Globe says I work with a lot of people. Salamat. Nicole says Philippines are beautiful. They have little hidden gems all over those islands. Yeah, because there's literally like thousands and thousands of islands, and currently I think there's 80. Let me try to. I'm probably getting the number wrong, but I think there's like currently 82 provinces. It's either 82 or 86 provinces. I can't remember, but there's a lot of places to explore, and a lot of their. The funny thing is, a lot of their tourism is actually domestic tourism. Like a bulk of their tourism is actually done by people within the Philippines, especially like people from the more well-to-do areas in like Metro Manila or Cebu or Davao. Like they go visiting some of these more remote parts of the country. So there's a lot of tourism that goes on, not just foreign tourism, but there's a lot of domestic tourism too. So great place to visit and a good place to expatriate to for a lot of us Western folks. The closest I've never been, but would love to visit the Philippines. Well, yeah, you definitely should if you get a chance. Football Global says my father went to England to help rebuild with the Windrush generation. People are always complaining. Nicole says I can't afford to go anywhere, otherwise I would. You'd be surprised how cheap it is. Like I remember, so when I was working my little low wage job like 8 years ago, I started traveling, and then like a year later, people was like, "Man, how are you able to afford to travel?" I was like, "Easy. I don't have a mortgage, don't have a car note, I don't have children, and I don't every paycheck I don't blow it on $300 sneakers or to pay for some play, if you know what I'm saying. This is what these guys do with their checks, or they smoke weed all the time. That's how your money evaporates. I'm not saying you are doing that or anyone in my channel is doing that. That's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying like even if if you have children, you can just say goodbye to having discretionary income automatically. Um, having if you have children, if you're saddled with a mortgage and car note, there you go. I didn't have those things, so it was easy for me to travel. And even today, I don't like. I own a home now, but it's in the Philippines, and I even here I still don't have a car because I know a car easily will become a money pit. So I'm I rely on either public transportation, Uber or Lyft. I like or I'll if I really need to, I can borrow a car or rent a car, but I don't want to be saddled with that debt until I am where I want to be, which is not here. So I don't want to incur debts here that will keep me from moving the way I want to move. So that's the secret of my ability to travel even when I was not making that much. Uh, the coast is apparently the Philippines is more affordable than most Caribbean destinations. Yeah, that's what I'm trying. The Caribbean is expensive, Nicole. Like people don't really like. So people here, like I said, in the passport bro movement again, always keep. They always talking about going to the Dominican Republic, going to Colombia, um, and he was like, man, it's so cheap and going to the DR or going down to Medellin in Colombia. I'm like, that has nothing. I said, you think that's cheap? Go to the Philippines, see how cheap it is there. I said, you get way more for the American dollar in Southeast Asia than you do in the Caribbean. The Caribbean is an expensive place to travel to, and it's not even. And I'm just gonna say it. The Caribbean isn't even worth that worthwhile. I mean, I don't know. I'm kind of biased, but the Atlantic Ocean just isn't that beautiful to me. The Pacific is. Going to these beaches with see-through water, just dealing with people who are just genuinely friendly and not just friendly because they're part of a tourist economy, but just because their culture is just friendly. That's a whole different vibe. Um, and the Philippines isn't even the cheapest country in the Southeast Asia. Places like Vietnam are cheaper. Bear in mind, it's a communist country, but um, Vietnam is cheaper. Indonesia is cheaper, although Indonesia's not that great. Like Jakarta isn't that great, but Bali is. Bali is within Indonesia, but it has like a whole different vibe. It's more of a Hindu vibe. It's very much built on a tourist economy, but it's very cheap. Like I remember laughing at with my wife because when we pulled $200 out of the bank in Indonesia in Bali, like we were millionaires in that money in the rupiah. I think their money's called rupiah. But yeah, such a lower cost of living in Southeast Asia. This is why so many people expatriate to Southeast Asia when they retire, or when they leave the army or military, or just leave their careers here in America, because it's a cheaper place to live. But but it's like a tropical paradise. And yeah, the Caribbean can be a tropical paradise too, but you're going to pay the price for being there because it's still totally closely tethered economically to our Western society. Uh, Nicole said I watched a couple called Kara and Nate. They are travel vloggers, and they've been all over the world. I may have heard of them. I'm not sure. Football Global says I live in the Cayman Islands. At least 15 to 17,000 Filipinos live here. Amazing people, very loyal people, friendly, kind. Really? That's a huge amount of people. I didn't know there was so many Filipinos living in the Cayman Islands. I'm gonna have to look that up. But I will say this, that Filipinos are sometimes affectionately called the Jewish people of East Asia, because just like I have a huge Jewish diaspora all over the world. Like you can find Filipinos almost everywhere in different parts of the globe. You'll find a huge community of them in places like Italy, the United Arab Emirates, Israel, of course the U.S. and uh, Hong Kong and China, um, just all over the place. The closest the the vlogger couple went to the Philippines and stayed on some random island, and it looked like something out of a magazine. They stayed in the open house right on the water. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. People, the Philippines has so many places that are tropical paradises, um, like El Nido, and I think I'm saying that right, um, which I think is which is in Palawan, Philippines, or places like um, uh, places in Boracay. Um, and I haven't even gone to these places yet, but yeah, these places are nice. Because it's right. If you live more simply, you can afford vacations. That's me. I smoke. How so how heavily do you smoke? It shouldn't take up too much of your money. Nicole says I don't take meds. Weed is my meds. I have anxiety and most likely ADHD. So marijuana is going to be expensive. Is will that will tax you physically and financially. You might want to look into alternatives to weed, such as going to the gym. I know I sound like a gym bro when I'm always advocating for the gym, but people don't realize how much physical fitness affects their mental fitness. I'm telling you, if you want to look into possibly re- maybe at least reducing how much you feel the need to smoke, you might want to consider the gym. I don't know, um, and I mean somewhere cheap like a Planet Fitness type place, which is like $15 a month. Um, it would be worth it. And if even if you can't afford the gym, I would just say put on some sneakers and go for a jog. Football Global says it's easy to travel. A lot of Americans live in a box. Traveling to Florida is not leaving the country. LOL. Travel to experience the world. That's true. Like that was my problem with the dear departed Kevin Samuels. Like he used to make it sound like it was a big deal going to places like Miami or New York City. I'm like, who cares? Like but he had a thing against the passport bros because he knew that as as the gender war went on within the black community, that a lot of these black guys with the means will be leaving for other options overseas, which is what's happening in masses now. But it's unfortunate he himself never even had a passport. Apparently he died right before he got a passport because he was going to do a he was going to do some some content over in Europe, I think like in London or somewhere, right before he passed away 2 years ago, which is unfortunate. But for him, he thought a big thing like going to places like expensive enclaves within LA and within Miami. And for people who travel, Miami and LA aren't shit. Like what's what's Miami to like partying in Tokyo and Shinjuku or in Shibuya or being on the beaches of Bali or of Thailand, um, going to places within like going to places within Europe, like places in Germany or the UK or France, partying in Bucharest, like Miami, Miami, like who cares? GJC says 2 car leases, a mortgage, and 3 kids saved enough for a cruise out of Florida finally. Yes, Miss Needle, so you gotta be healthy first, then the rest follows and smart decisions, simple lifestyle, setting priorities. Miss Needle is Miss Needle is my girl. I'm telling you. Fishing with Colin says, "Can I join the live?" You are in the live. GJC says, "For Canadians, it is pretty reasonable to travel to Dominican Republic, Jamaica, and Cuba, but I do prefer Europe and Asia." So my thing is GJC is it's not that going to the Caribbean is bad, but if people are saying that hey, I can't afford to travel, they need to travel to more affordable places. Um, And like I'm saying, like people don't realize the Caribbean is an expensive place to actually travel to. Not the trip itself, but the cost of being there is way more expensive than going to East Asia, particularly Southeast Asia. And for Americans, like even let's say they can't afford to do international traveling, or no, they can afford to travel internationally, but say they can't get their passport right for whatever reason. I'm not going to go there, but there are still plenty of exotic places that are U.S. territories. You have Guam, you have the Northern Mariana Islands, you have American Samoa, you have the U.S. Virgin Islands, you have Puerto Rico. Um, so it is like there's plenty of options. Football Global says the Caribbean is very expensive. I know a gallon of gas is like $5.50. Um, KYD, which is $7.50 in the U.S. and the Cayman Islands. Okay. Football Globe says Filipinos travel just like us Jamaicans. Nicole says I love the Chinese traditional culture, although I would never travel there. How they treat foreigners is scary. It depends on what part. So the places to go where you'll probably be all right would be places like Shanghai. Shanghai is like their biggest international, probably like their biggest international city there. Shanghai, you'll be fine. Hong Kong, which is where I'm will be traveling shortly. Put I just haven't put here on my live stream when I'm traveling because I don't believe in telling people when and where I'm traveling until after I've been there because still I still have that operational security mindset. But I will be going to Hong Kong. Hong Kong is friendly. The province of Chengdu is okay. Anywhere where you have a big international airport in China is usually probably a place where it's relatively okay for foreigners to travel. Um, it's another place I can't think of the name right now. It might come to me within a few minutes, but yeah, it's several places that are quite okay to travel to in China. Even Beijing is all right because it's an international city. I, I I'm not too impressed with going to Beijing myself. For me, it's more about I more want to go to Hong Kong. That's been on my wish list since being a kid watching kung fu flicks. But that and Shanghai are like two places I'd like to go to. Definitely. I've already been to Taiwan, and we're not gonna go there with classifying what Taiwan is. Don't want to don't want to offend anyone. But yes, I've been to Taiwan, but I do want to go to mainland China as well as Hong Kong. And like I said, there are some places in mainland China that are quite foreigner friendly, like Shanghai. Probably half the population in Shanghai is probably international. Nicole says I would go to Japan. I love the whole samurai and ninja stuff. Absolutely, that's every geek needs to go to Japan, which it was so fun. I just can't wait to go back because next time I go back, I'm staying. I'm probably gonna stay the full like a full 30 days there if I can, instead of just staying for like a few days. I want to stay like 30 days. And if it was more affordable, I would expatriate to Japan. But Japan is kind of expensive. Although in the rural prefectures of Japan, it's quite affordable because there's so many people leaving the countryside of Japan that they're actually trying to stimulate the economy by giving people different subsidies or very low cost housing to move back into the countryside of Japan because everyone is moving to Tokyo or Osaka. Football Global says a few of my friends are married to Filipinos and travel there a lot. Football Global says man say go to the gym. Facts though. It is, like I said, people don't realize like people who have mental health issues, like I'm telling you, people with clinical depression, low from low to moderate clinical depression, you you would benefit more from going to the gym than either taking an antidepressant or self-medicating yourself using marijuana or alcohol. The gym would be a healthier alternative. It'll make you look better. It'll make you feel better. It'll make you. It'll give you more mental fortitude. So I keep telling people physical fitness correlates to mental fitness. Nicole says, I'm not against the gym. I used to go. I stopped because honestly, people are weird and I just exercise at home now. I don't know, Nicole, were you out there thirst trapping? Had the the cheeks all out and people was like that might be why, but I don't know what gym you go to, but most people it's low key now. Like matter of fact, I know like here in the US because of all the gym influencers and all the women who go on TikTok claiming that guys are ogling them. Half the time now, a lot of guys like my friends and I, we don't even talk to women in the gym. Like we just get on, we just go there, pay our homage to the lords of iron and keep it moving. Now I know some people who love to go to the gym and talk to girls, and I'm like, dude, why do that to yourself? He's like, man, all those little gym influences and stuff. He said that's just he says that's just online. He said that he was like, oh, that rarely happens in real life. I was like, and like he and some other guys in my office were like, yeah, but it happens enough, even if it's not that often, that it happens enough that you don't want to be one. You don't want to be on someone's TikTok being accused of being inappropriate. So I don't make moves on anyone in the gym. I mean, I'm married anyway, but I'm talking about like my friends and I, like we were just saying, because they're all single for the most part, and they're like, yeah, we're not making moves on people in the gym because it's not a good look if it goes sour. Plus, like you don't want to mess up this place where you go to for solace, and you know, I mean, it's like awkward. So I don't know, but like I said, I don't know what gym you go to, Nicole, but for the most part, people aren't really on that level. Now, I'm not gonna lie, we're gonna look. Like if you get like if someone got the cheeks out, yeah, we're gonna look. I mean, because obviously, if you got your cheeks out, you wanted the attention. But that's as far as it go. I'm gonna look, and then I'm gonna keep it moving. Get back to my set. But I've rarely seen guys just just step out there and hit on someone. Unless the only time I've seen people hit on the women are usually the trainers. Those only people I see hit on women are like the actual trainers, and they're usually successful. Miss Needle says, Nicole, I advise you as well to become independent of any substance. It will have huge benefits. Pray about it. I mean it. You can do it. Okay. Nicole says, the only place I have ever been outside the States was Puerto Rico, which is technically the US. But it is beautiful, clear waters and beautiful coral reefs. That's cool. Nicole says the Chinese people can be very friendly. It's the CCP that scares me. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So like, if you're in a big international place, you don't have to worry about CCP and stuff like that too. They're in those places like Beijing and stuff like that where that's where they're concentrated. Like Beijing, like that's where the bulk of them are. Then you have their local bosses in each city and province and so forth. But like I said, half the populace of Shanghai is international, so it's a very it's a very accommodating place for a foreigner, and so is Hong Kong, even though they're no longer like separate from mainland China anymore, like under the new national security law, but it's still not the same flavor as mainland China. DJ says Macau. China's tourist friendly. Yep, Macau is too. It's a like I think Macau is like the biggest international gambling uh, region in the world. And I remember there was actually a lot of gambling scams that were going on with Macau that was connected to the Philippines like several years ago. I even had people try to get me to do these little gambling scams where you would basically pay to have people to fund people's expenses while in Macau, and supposedly you were supposed to get money from their winnings, but that it was a huge like international scam, and it was like big in the Philippines. But anyway, besides that, like Macau is very friendly to foreigners. However, be careful if you're a gambling addict not to get involved in gambling in Macau because it is the biggest gambling district in the world. Football goes is Nicole out there thirsty like the desert at the gym. That's what I'm saying. I don't know. She might have the cheeks out talking about these guys are being inappropriate. I'm joking, Nicole. She's like, no. LOL, I'm pretty conservative. People at the gym are all about social hour or throw weights. Nothing to do with that kind of weird. I'm married. That's what's up. She's a married woman, guys. Um, Throwing weights. Well, you mean if they're like slamming weights down? That's just gym culture. Jehovah says you had an egg-shaped head. Yeah, just to go with my egg-shaped dick that goes in your mother's mouth, Jehovah's. So anyway, Football Global says I get to the gym, put on my headphones, and that's it until I leave. Not there for chicas. I agree. I'm there with my homies, so we just chilling, talking talking shit. Sometimes we'll look at women and be like, yeah, she can get it. But other than that, that's as far as it goes. Most of the time, I'm just looking at the TV or whatever in between sets. Nicole says women who do dress like that are asking for unwanted attention. They do, but here, like, they expect no one to say anything or look like I don't know. I don't get it. Because now you even have the I don't know what the gym wear is called. The women wear now, where it actually has the pads on the butt. I don't know what you call that, but it's like, and the fact is they want people to look because the pads on the butt part of their I don't know what you call them. We used to call them spandex in the day, so back in the day. I don't know, but I don't know what you call them now. But these little spandex shorts they're wearing, they have like these butt pads on it, but it's differently colored than the rest of the shorts, just to make it intentionally stand out. And I'm like, you guys know what you're doing. Like, what is up with that? Like, that's like a dude walking around with a with a cod piece, on the front of his, like that would be tantamount to a guy wearing his gray sweatpants, no underwear, but with a cod piece on it as well. That would be just how blatant that would look. To that would be the male alternative to what women are doing with these little spandex shorts with the butt pads with the different colorings on them. It would be it would be tantamount to a guy walking around in gray sweatpants with no boxers with the cod piece. leave her alone, Football Global. He was like, Nicole, married people get thirsty too. Yeah, I mean, but leave her alone. She's a married woman, so let's respect her husband's. Um, you know, let's let's respect this man's wife here. Nicole says I've seen guys do that, but it does not happen as often as people on TikTok act like it does. Women are like that too. True. As a matter of fact, my friend and I have had girls ogle us while we're at the gym. Actually, I don't know if they were ogling him or ogling me, since I'm not trying to be I'm not trying to act like I'm all that, but because I'm the one who's better in shape, like he still has like a huge midsection, but he's working it down. He's but they will be staring at us, and I'm assuming probably me, and it gets uncomfortable sometimes, like women just ogling you, especially when you're working out, because it's like it can give you, like, if you were a less confident person, it could give you performance anxiety. It doesn't bother me though, but it's just kind of annoying when they're just like looking directly at you, and they're not like looking directly at you, and then they avert their eyes when they see you look back, but they'll just keep looking even though you catch them looking. I'm like, yo, chill. So And Nicole fired back at Football Global. She says, well, maybe you do, but I'm married and fully believe in that commitment under God. I don't need to explain my loyalty to anyone. Leave her alone, Football Global. He's in, I'm married as well, Nicole. My eyes cheat, not me. And Nicole says, I'm sorry for your wife. That's sad. To be fair to Football Global, I guess what we can say in fairness is if he sees someone attractive, he's still going to look. That part is okay. But to also have the desire, that part is not okay because you might act on it. So it's okay that you're going to look at attractive people. You're a human being. You're going to see attractive people. But but the desire, that's not good. But he says all in good fun, Nicole. But yeah, let's leave her alone. She's a married woman. Football Glow says, "Damn man, went from 0 to 100. Sorry for his mother." Hey, he started it, right? He started it. He want to come in here trying to troll, so he caught the roast. He caught that fire. Nicole says these women be wearing full face of makeup with fresh nails and full outfits, like they took an hour to get ready. Like, girl, you are going to the gym, swearing that pound of makeup off. LOL. Nicole, no, it's worse. So my wife caught this chick. So we were in the Philippines when we had our condo in Manila, right? I used to go to the gym every day because I couldn't. There's nowhere to run in Metro Manila unless like I go to a park. So I just used to hit the treadmill every day in the gym. And it was this lady that used to come there, and she had on like the butt pads. Not I'm not talking about the spandex they have now that like pad the butt from the outside, but I'm talking about the she had the kind where you put on the inside of your pants to make it look like you have a bigger butt. She had, those type of butt pads. So she had the nerve to put those on while she was running, and they were like sliding down. So my wife was laughing, saying this woman had uneven butt cheeks because the butt pads had moved out of place from her jogging on the treadmill. That was hilarious. And I was like, for real? And then I saw the woman myself, and I saw her walk into the place with these butt pads on and makeup. And I'm like, what is she doing? Like, why is she coming to the gym with makeup and some butt pads on? Even worse, she came there with her son one day. And I'm like, who you think you're going to attract? You coming there with your little, well, I'm not going to say that. Her child. And I was going to say something with a B, ends with a D. Sounds like master, but with a D. But anyway, but came in there with a child and you fully decked in makeup and you got pads, butt pads tucked into your spandex to make it look like you have a big butt, but you're about to run on a treadmill. Why? Why would like? What are you trying to do? Like you're trying to? I get it. The condo. So the condo, like condos in the Philippines, aren't affordable for most people. So people who can live there tend to have more affluence. So apparent, I assumed that she was trying to catch the eye of more of these well-to-do Filipinos who might be in our condo gym, but it just made her look comical. Football goes that his belly is big. Just say a man said the politically correct term, huge midsection. No, I'm saying, but dude is he. Well, he needs to do his. I keep telling him, dude, you'll get rid of the midsection quick if you just hit cardio every day. He doesn't want to do cardio. I've been telling him for like at least 5 years of the 11 years that I've known him. Man, hit the cardio. You're gonna get rid of that. But most people who are big prefer to do strength training because it's easier than doing a cardio. But that's usually because people try to do too much with cardio instead of just doing a little bit and just gradually and incrementally increasing the intensity and time that they run. But everyone wants to think they can do just an hour of jogging right off the break, and they can't. Um, so guys, I didn't realize I was on so long. I'm about to get off, but anyway, no, but like he's stronger than me in many ways on the gym. Like, dude can leg press the whole freaking gym. Like he's doing like I think he's like up to eight 45 pound um dumbbells on each side of the rack. And the rack itself I think is like what 15 pounds on the leg press. Um that's a lot of weight. Now I've gotten it up to like what five 45 pound weights on each side, but a dude is a beast in many regards. But like I said, it's the midsection that's his biggest vein. But like I said, that's because he keeps avoiding the cardio. All my big friends who hit the gym want to avoid the cardio, and that's the very thing that would get them lean and fit more quickly. Whereas I love running, so it's not to me a chore. It's more of a thing that I must do because it's something that completes me every day. Sunflower says, "Where's your partner or wife at?" What time is it? She is getting ready for work. So, but I don't know what this guy is talking about. This sunflower. You might need to touch grass, my friend, because we have no clue what you're talking about. Anyway, guys, this topic has gone far askew from what I was talking about originally which was the topic was what was going on with the riots in the UK this weekend. So I think we've kind of answered that, but I think there will be more developing story as this goes along. And as of right now, until it's been verified otherwise, we know that the claims that kicked off these protests and riots have been false. Namely, the claims that three children were brutally unalived by illegal migrants to the UK. That was those were false claims. Until proven otherwise, uh, so we'll see how this continues to unfold. If there's something else that happens, I'm gonna do another live stream on it. If there's something else that comes up about this later on during the week. All right. But back, I'm gonna get back to these gym comments. Then I'm gonna go out myself. Um, Nicole says, "I know what you're talking about. Someone needs to tell these women that that people know their asses is fake, right?" And it's just weird. Like we see why I don't, but it's not just that we know the ass is fake, Nicole. It's even just why would you wear that if you're about to work out? Like that's something you wear when you're going out, like when you're about to go out and show out, to the club, to a bar, to a lounge, to brunch, to the mall, whatever, like yeah, out and about. But when you're working out, why like you're trying to develop those physiques, like those characteristics of your physique. So why would you accentuate it? Like that would be like a guy, like I said, going to the gym and putting on fake biceps. Like you're supposed to be there to develop your biceps. Why are you wearing fake biceps? That's just as ludicrous. Nicole says I wasn't aware that they were false claims, so I'm gonna look into that. Have a good night. Thanks. Um, so I'm gonna end it here, guys. What's up, Lyman? I'm actually about to step out, bro. I'm sorry, but you can catch this. As soon as I end this, you can catch this on the replay, so you can see everything this we were talking about. But thanks for coming through, though. If I do get a chance, I will come back on later tonight. Yeah, of course I remember you. So, like I said, watch it. You can watch this on replay, guys. If you didn't catch the beginning, or you just stepped in and like Lyman did. Thanks, J.A.C. But guys, you guys have a great evening or a great day where you are. If you're in the UK, stay safe. If you're in other parts of the other parts of the world that are dangerous. Stay safe. All right. Take care. I might be back later this evening. We'll see. And like J.A.C says, hit the like button, please, guys. Subscribe. Matters a lot. And if you want, you can always drop me a super thanks as well. Thanks, Lyman. All right, guys. Take care. Thank you. I appreciate it.